Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, Raycraft Books Fall 2026 Releases, Stories that Inspire Growth, Knowledge, and Lifelong Learning. I'm Kelly Ferreira, Books for Youth Associate Editor at Booklist, and I use they, she, and he pronouns. Before we begin, I'd like to go over some technical details. Today's slide presentation and title list were included in the reminder email you received from Zoom 1 hour ago. To download them, please open that email, scroll to the bottom, and click on the links located there. You can also download the slides and title list by typing the URLs on this screen into your web browser. If you have any trouble, please contact us at webinars@booklistonline.com. The audience is in listen-only mode, but we welcome any questions you may have. On the bottom of your screen is a toolbar with a section for Q&A. If you have a question or need technical assistance, simply click Q&A and type your message into the box that appears. We will do our best to respond to all tech-related questions, and we'll pass along all other questions to today's panelists so they can follow up with you after the webinar. Booklist offers closed captioning on all webinars. To enable or disable them on your screen, please look for and click the Show Captions icon on the toolbar mentioned earlier. If you choose to enable subtitles, you can adjust the size of them at any time by selecting Caption Settings. And finally, Booklist expects all participants to maintain an atmosphere of respect and fairness. Anyone who violates this standard of behavior, including engaging in any form of harassment, may at the discretion of the organizers be immediately removed. We have a wonderful event today featuring special guests and a fantastic book list. So without further ado, I'll pass the mic to the Raycraft Books team.
Thank you and welcome everyone. I'm Dr. Wiley Blevins, the Associate Publisher at Raycraft Books, and today I am joined by a couple of our editors and three of our great authors. And so I want to jump right in and share with you all about their new books. But before I share our fall list, I want to just highlight a couple of our notable recent titles that you might have missed. The first is Post Office Bay, which is based on the true story of a barrel on an island in the middle of the ocean that long ago served as a way to send and hand-delivered letters around the world for sea travelers. It's still in use today and will absolutely fascinate young readers. The next is Pitch Black, which was based on an award-winning Japanese commercial about creativity, and it will really spark the imagination of young readers. We also have Music Plants Hope, which just got a starred review. We're very excited about that. It's about a really unique concert that took place in a theater that only had plants in it. And why this happened will be quite interesting to young readers. It happened during the pandemic, but why it happened and the effects of it make for a really amazing read. We also have two Junior Library Guild Gold Standard selections. We have Whale Boys by J.C. Kato, who you will meet in a few minutes. This is JC has written several books for us that take historical figures from both the United States and Japan and talk about how their lives intersect. This is nonfiction written in verse. Whale Boys is about Herman Melville, who wrote Moby Dick, and Manjiro, who played an interesting role in the opening of Japan to foreigners. We also have Monster Maker, which is a biography about a Japanese-American toy maker, Mark Nagato, which has been flying off the shelves. It is written by Debbie Michiko Florence, a best-selling author. We were really excited with the reception of that book. And we have two books by New York Times best-selling authors. One is a book by Nikki Grimes, Wild Ride, a Diamond Daniel book. If you're familiar with the Diamond Daniel series, this is the next book in that series. We also have The Inkpot Fairy by the Jane Yolen. So we are thrilled about those books. Please check them out. Now on to our fall books. The first is called It Won't Be Long. It's a picture book written by Laura Hayes Hoover, who you'll meet in just a second. It's illustrated by J.T. Chen. When we first got this manuscript, it felt like an instant classic, the kind of book that every parent will want when they have a child or have a child that goes into kindergarten. Every kindergarten or first grade teacher will want at the beginning of the school year when they do that All About Me unit. There's something really unique and special about this book. I want to read you the summary and share with you a few of the interior pages. In this tender lyrical picture book, a parent traces their child's growth from ages 1 to 10 through charming rhymes that celebrate milestones like first steps, starting school, and discovering special talents. Let's take a peek inside. I'll read to you the first page. It won't be long until you're one. We'll rock and sleep when days are done. You'll babble, coo, and wave your hand. You'll wobble, fall, and try to stand. We'll rock and sleep when days are done. It won't be long until you're one. And then there are pages for two and page for three, four, five, six. You get the idea. Seven, eight, nine, 10, and finally the end. It won't be long until you're grown. You'll hear me say, the time has flown. You'll see new places, make new friends. I'll love you so. That never ends. You'll hear me say, the time has flown. It won't be long until you're grown. And this is usually the time where everyone grabs a Kleenex because this book really affects you in a really powerful way, in the best possible way. Some key features of this book: it speaks to the human condition in ways few books do. It is beautifully lyrical. The writing is spectacular. It's a great bedtime read. It's also a perfect gift, as I said, for any new parent when a child is graduating from kindergarten, first grade teacher at the beginning of the year, all the All About Me units, and so on. So I don't want to waste any time. I want you to meet the author, Laura Hayes Hoover, and interviewing her will be Winsome Bingham, who is an editor at Raycraft Books, but she's also a best-selling author in her own right. Books like, well, she can tell you all of her wonderful books, but Soul Food Sunday, The Table, and many, many others. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Winsome.
Hi, thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming and thanks for checking out our amazing books. Laura,
Hey,
I am so excited. As Wiley was reading the first and the last, because that's what I was going to read to you today, I got teary-eyed all over again. One, because last Monday my son got married. And it is one of those books that I feel like it should go to every parent, every grandparent. If you're starting the first day of school or a job or you're moving, please tell me your inspiration behind this beautiful, gorgeous book.
well, one night I couldn't get that phrase, it won't be long, out of my mind. I was thinking about how when people talk about their kids, I hear them bring up this idea time and time again that the
Mhm.
days are long, but the years are short.
Yes,
And
yes.
they'll say something like, "My baby's getting so big," or and they miss rocking them to sleep and the funny way they mispronounce words.
Mhm.
There is
I,
always, go ahead.
No, I was going to just interject and say quickly because you're a teacher, you're in the school, you're seeing the kids, right? And then you're still in the same neighborhood, and these kids grown and now they're teenagers, and you're grocery shopping and you're at the grocery store and they're adults. And then you think about that time. I remember I taught a kindergarten, we'll name him Calvin, and it was like, what, 13, 14 years later, I was in the grocery store in Winn-Dixie in Florida. And he kept looking at me. And the minute I saw him, I knew immediately who he was because I taught him in kindergarten. So he kept staring and staring. And he walked around and I said, Calvin, you want to say something? And he's like, I knew it was you, right? And it was that moment because you watch them grown so much. You tell us as a teacher, when you're looking at your students, do you think about this book?
Well, I always look at them and it's like when I see students like you're talking about, I live in a small community and so I get
Mhm,
to see former students and when they leave at the end of the year, I am always saying, you're going to grow up and you're going to change so much. Please
mhm.
come up and tell me who you are. Like one time the pizza guy came to my door and he's like, "Mrs. Hoover." I'm like, "Hi, who are you?" And he said his name. I'm like, "Hello." But it's like his big man with a deep voice, you know? And,
Right.
one of the things about this book is like, you see those kids and people have this little human growing up in their house. And as much as you
Mhm.
love that current kid, you miss that younger one.
Right.
It's
I
so,
want to tap. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish.
it's just so fun to see them grow up.
Well, I wanted to tap in and ask you because what if we have teachers that's here today and librarians and they're like, well, I'm not a parent yet. What's in this book that's for them? For those, because I feel like you don't have to birth children to be mothers and aunties. A lot of those things are cultural. But for those teachers, those young teachers just graduating college and taking on this amazing journey, or as library, what's in this book for them? How do they get to use that with younger children or their students? What would you suggest?
I just say, just read to them, and you're thinking about, they're not parents yet, but I am not a parent, but I just love that as a teacher you get to spend all those everyday moments with them.
Moments.
They're
Yeah,
discovering new things. It is such a gift to be with
I
them,
agree.
just discover the world through their eyes all over again.
One last question, Laura. I remember the first time I read this book, I was at an event and you paid for a critique. And the moment I started reading it, I started to not choke up, but to cry. And normally, as an editor, being a writer myself, I understand empathy and emotions because that's the way I write. But as an editor, I tell people all the time, they're like, how do you pick the books that you edit? And I said, I need to feel something. I need to be cracking up, like belly slapping, laughing, or I need to be crying. And this did that for me. Was that your intention?
Well, I have to tell you, the first phrase of the book, "It won't be long until you're one. We rock and sleep when days are done." One night wrote, I I got up in the middle of the night. I woke up with that phrase in my mind and I wrote it down in my phone in the notes. And usually when I do that, I wake up, I'm like, this is gibberish, or it doesn't make any sense, or this is awful. And I woke up that morning and I read it. I'm like, oh, I think I might have something here. And so I wrote that whole day, and my husband came at the end of the morning. I said, "Do you want to hear what I wrote?" And of course he said yes, because he's my husband. And
So here's oh, I'm sorry. We're
okay,
pushed for time, but I just
okay,
want you to your one last pitch to
okay,
librarians. Tell them why they should buy this book.
because it just gives you the whole gamut of childhood in just a snapshot, and how we need to just enjoy those moments with our kids.
Thank you.
Kids and parents are going to love sharing this book together.
Thank you so much, Laura. It was such an honor to work with you on this amazing book. And librarians, please, please support us, support Laura, and buy this beautiful, add this beautiful, beautiful book to your collection. Thank you.
Thank you, Winsome and Laura. So our next book is The Hour of the Horse, When General Grant Met the Emperor of Japan. This is historical verse novel written by J.C. Kato, who I spoke about earlier. I'm very biased about this book because my father trained horses. I grew up with horses. So the fact that there's a horse that plays such a pivotal, or horses that play such a pivotal role in the bonding between these two historical figures is absolutely amazing to me. Let me read the summary for you. Hiram Ulysses Grant and Sachi no Miya was born half a world and 30 years apart. The two boys had nothing in common, but both grew up to become leaders of their era. Hiram as Union Army General and U.S. President Ulysses S. Grant, and Sachi as Mitsuhito, the 122nd Emperor of Japan. While General Grant secured a Union victory in the American Civil War and became the country's 18th president, Mitsuhito's government began to modernize Japan. This included opening Japan's borders to the outside world for the first time in over 200 years. Soon after, Japan was thrown into its own civil war that changed the nation forever. Told in stunning verse, The Hour of the Horse details the remarkably parallel lives of two men who helped reunite their divided countries and the fateful day they met. So let's take a peek inside. You'll see it's written in verse. There are chapters, they're labeled whether they're talking about one man or the other, or both. And there are some illustrations, a few full page illustrations throughout. There's one of Ulysses as Grant with his favorite horse. I particularly love this picture. You'll see a painting of the day that they met, taken from a photograph. There's back matter that gives more information about both men and an extensive bibliography. And this is actually a painting of a painting, a very famous painting of their first meeting. And our illustrator, J.T. Chen, re-illustrated it for this book. It's fascinating U.S. and world history. It's biographical. There's an instant link to social studies standards and current politics about how
Yeah.
nations operate and get along. And it's a beautiful novel in verse. Without further ado, I want to bring Winston back to talk to JC about this book and the others that she has written for us.
Hi, JC. How are
Hi,
you?
hello, and
First,
hello to the
nice.
our wonderful librarians and teachers out there.
Yay. That's
Glad
right.
you
They
could
get
stop.
all the love, all the
Right.
love. JC, I want to, first of all, I want to say to you, thank you for writing such a beautiful book. And thank you for choosing the format and the structure of verse. One of the things when we look at nonfiction, we tend to see it structured in prose and not poetically. And this way, the way you wrote it was so amazing to me. But please tell me, why did you choose to show the parallelism between these two iconic figures?
Well, first of all, thank you for reading it, Winsome, because you were the first one to read it. Um, I, I've been asked this before, and to be honest with you, it chose me. The form
Oh.
chose me. So I had these two gigantic historical figures, and with a story to tell. But there was so much material, and I was familiar with poetry, familiar with picture books, but I'm not a picture book writer. But it after I did the research, when I started, and my first draft was starting with the Japanese side of the story, and it came down in verse. And I'd never written verse before. And I was thinking while I was finishing that first chapter, what am I going to do about Ulysses' side of the story? Is that going to
Mhm.
stay in verse? And it stayed in verse. So it's
Mhm.
like the form chose me, and I've been with it now for a while. But it's a great way to tell a big story.
Yes. As a poet myself, as a poet, I appreciate you telling it in verse. I appreciate the lyricism. I appreciate the use of enjambment. So many ways for teachers and librarians not only to use it for the historical context that it fits in, but also in the English curriculum, in the ELA curriculum. I want to understand, why did you choose Ulysses S. Grant? And could you have compared another um, emperor to another American president? Why was Ulysses S. Grant perfect for this role? That's why I wore my military hat today, my
I
veteran
love
hat,
it.
to
I love
honor.
it.
So why did you choose him?
Well, the story kind of came to me from doing research on another novel that I was working on, and my husband's uncle said had come down for a visit, and he's from California. And when he saw my project, he said, "I'm going to send you something when I get back." So a couple months later, a big box came to my house full of Japanese magazines, and but they were a magazine printed in Japan, but it was for English speaking audiences.
Mhm.
So I'm, of course, going through all of this because it was like candy. And I found this story about Ulysses, my
Mhm.
favorite president, uh, was had gone to Japan, one of my
Mhm.
favorite countries. So that's how the story came about, and I thought, oh, this is going to be. I think kids would like to hear about this, how
Yeah.
these two great men came together
Yeah.
and became friends.
I
So
agree. I agree about kids appreciating that because for me, I always felt like we're more alike than we're different. And we don't get to see a
yes,
lot of books where we show the similarities or the commonalities between culture. And I think that was one of the things that drove me to it. The beautiful writing, indeed. But I'm always looking for stuff that I'm learning something new. And this, I learned something new. And I thought that was so fascinating that we
yes.
have today, where I can look at these two figures like, oh my gosh. So now it fits in with what I believe is that we have so much more in common.
Absolutely.
If librarians said to you, JC, how can I use this in my curriculum or use this with my student? What suggestions would you give them?
Uh, well, the different cultures that were introduced, like even the title of the book, Our the Horse, is a way to understand how Japanese used to tell
Mhm,
time. So, like
mhm.
right now, I think we're in the hour of the sheep.
Yeah. Oh,
So that it's a little quirky detail that make kid would draw kids in, and of course we always hear about Ulysses being a tremendous soldier, but he was a
yeah.
tremendous president too, and the fact that a lot of people still love horses, you know.
Mhm.
I'm kind of over the top with that too. So if we want to bring all those together and brought together by friendship, that's the
Okay.
overall theme of
So
the
I,
story.
so thank you for sharing that. And as we wrap this up, the last thing, your last plea to librarians is they should buy this book. Tell them the biggest reason why it's important to add this book to their collection.
It's about friendship. It really is
Mhm.
the basic how two opposite countries on opposite ends of the world came together. And this is early Japan too. We know Japan in a different way, but
Yeah.
these are the first years that Japan was even open to the world. So, and how this great man and this both great men, they were so similar,
Thank you.
had risen above what was expected of them or what they expected for themselves. And
Okay,
so,
thank you, JC. I'm sorry to
sure,
cut you off. Just say thank you
no,
so, so,
I
so,
get
so much.
it.
But please,
Thank you,
librarians,
everyone.
add this to your collection. It's a beautiful book,
Please,
gorgeously illustrated,
won't regret it.
beautifully written. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Back
both
to
of
you,
you.
Wiley.
Yes, thanks. So our next series of books, I'm going to invite Sunita to one of our editors, Sunita, to talk about them. Our next one is a middle grade chapter book that was one of my favorite reads of last year. So Sunita?
Hi, apologies. Somebody just started jackhammering at my window, so I hope that's not interfering, though. I think Zoom does a good job of that. I just want to talk about 13 Moons. This is a middle grades book by author Brad Wright, one of my favorite authors in the whole world. I love this book. What I usually say about it is that it's like a new Hatchet, if Hatchet were a piece of historical fiction. This is the story of a boy who runs away from home and ends up spending an entire year on his own in the wilderness. It's beautifully written. The main character is someone you really, really, really want to root for. And I think one of the most fascinating things of all is that this book is based on the life of the author's great grandfather, who did not actually live in the wilderness for a year by himself, but was sort of born in this area of Wisconsin and, was part indigenous and was raised in this way. So it's a beautiful book. Brad's really done his homework. He did a lot of research. It's very historically accurate. It's a gripping, thrilling read. When the book finally went to the press, Wiley read it and called me and was like, "Oh my gosh, this book is amazing. I love it so much." So I think it would be really enjoyable, and I think it will particularly appeal to boys, which I know for some librarians out there. I had one myself, right? A reluctant reader who, is always looking for things that will really engage them.
So let's take a peek inside.
Yep. So yeah, so this is the forward is Brad explaining, why he wrote the book and about it being based on his grandfather. And then these are the different moons. So the book is called 13 Moons because the year that the main character George spends in the wilderness is 13 moons worth of years, and each section is based on a moon. Um, and this beautiful cover with these moons on it uh, is actually, we had this Ojibwe illustrator do this, which we thought was just so beautiful and really evocative of the story itself.
So just some key features, high adventure, Native American, based on a true story, classic come of age story, and a great book study for upper elementary or middle school.
Yeah. It would make a great book study. So this book is Reborn. I just ran into someone from Trinidad and was talking about this book because this is the book. It's the story of about how you make a seal pan, which is the national instrument of Trinidad. It's a drum sort of made from an oil drum, and it's a very melodic and beautiful instrument. And this book is beautifully written. It's like a poem. It's a beautiful lyrical picture book told from the sort of point of view of the oil drum being made into a seal pan. And these illustrations are just amazing. They are so evocative and so just absolutely beautiful. Really, really kind of, I think, in my mind, really bring you to Trinidad and what it's like to make an instrument out of a used oil drum. But the alliteration in here, if you are a poet, like the maestro tickles and tunes, time trickles by, to rejoice, to revel, to reclaim.
Give it some back matter.
And yes, and then it gives you a lot of information about the steel pan, what it is, and some of the more famous musicians who play it. So it's a Caribbean book. It's a book about a Trinidadian instrument by a Trinidadian author. It's nonfiction. It is beautifully lyrical, and the illustrations are amazing. Oh yeah, I love this book too. So hard. They're like children. You love them all. This is a picture book biography about Berthe Morisot, who was an Impressionist painter. Most people have heard of Renoir. They've heard of, Monet. They've heard of a lot of Impressionist painters. Fewer people have heard of her, and she was amazing. She was, a woman doing Impressionist painting at a time when, the art world was very much of a man's world. I should do what Wiley does. Let me read the thing here. Ever since she was little, Berthe Morisot chased light. She found it in keyholes and flower petals, shimmering fabric and rustling leaves, and her dream was to paint it all. Living in Paris, Berthe was trained to copy the style of old masters and stay inside the lines. And more importantly, she was told respectable women could not become professional painters. The more Berthe painted, the more she yearned for the light that inspired her. One day she met a group of rebel artists, Impressionists, who were tired of art's rigid rules like her. Together they led a movement, and Berthe shone a light on women's lives through arts in ways no one had before. So if we want to look inside it, I also have to say that the illustration in this book is unbelievable. This illustrator, Rosanna Tasker, she really took that Impressionist style and just made something so evocative and lovely.
I really love this one because Impressionism is all about light, and this captures that so magnificently.
Yes, it both captures the light and that sense of the old master portrait painting and how she was breaking away from that. Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful book. And I think it's interesting because now Impressionist painters are so part of but back then they really were rebels, which I think is this book puts that in context as well.
And
It's a great book.
This has
Sorry.
back matter as well.
Yes, it has back matter that really tells more of her biography and puts more context on her painting, as well as some of her actual paintings are in there. It's a beautiful book for anyone looking for more biographies. This, as a picture book biography, I absolutely love it. And it's good for art history, anyone looking for an art history focus. Oh, Hippo Beach Bash. This is a really fun book. Hippos love having fun at the beach. Told in humorous rhyme, this tale of happy hippos enjoying a beach day is sure to make readers laugh and want to join in on the merriment. When we got this manuscript, I was like, hippos having fun on the beach? How could that not be a great picture book? It is hilarious. Kyle Beckett is an amazingly humorous illustrator, and he brings a lot to every book that he illustrates. He adds to the party. I think this is going to be a wonderful book, especially as a read aloud for little kids while they look at the pictures and they find all sorts of things in the pictures to really focus on. But the whole concept of hippos having a beach day, it makes me laugh just thinking about it, right? Lugging all their beach day gear, spreading blankets here, no here. Let's look at this hippo being slathered with sunscreen, right? Can't forget the sunscreen.
And this is the first in a series.
Yes, yes. So there's another one coming out next year, Hippo Birthday Blast. Hippo's having a birthday party. That should be very interesting too. So I think this is a great book for smaller kids.
I can't get enough of this art. It's like watching a movie cartoon.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, it really is. So yeah, this is a great summer read. So, if you're taking your kids to the beach, this would be a really fun book to get them jazzed up for a fun outing.
Great. Thanks, Anita. We'll hear from you in a few
Bye,
books.
everyone. Oh, I just wanted to say before I signed off, when Wiley was talking about Post Office Bay at the very beginning of this, I just have to share this with everyone because I told Wiley and Winsome I found actually a postcard from my parents that they sent from Post Office Bay. So when Wiley said it is still in use, he was not kidding.
Thanks,
Bye,
Anita.
everyone.
We'll see you in just a few minutes. So speaking of series, we have the second book of the Tic Tac and Toe series. It's Tic Tac and Toe in the Garden, written by Sherry Dillard, illustrated by Charlie Alder. It's a humorous early reader. I have a particular love for early readers. In fact, I met Winsome teaching a course at the Highlights Foundation on how to write early readers. So I'm glad that we're producing more of them. Tic Tac and Toe are always three in a row. They are the best of friends until one day when they decide to plant flowers. What will this trio do when disagreements arise during the mowing and hoeing and sewing? You can tell it's going to rhyme. Will an angry buzzing bee bring this trio back together? The thing I like about the most successful early readers is there's drama to them. There's humor, but there's also drama. There's a story that you get invested in. And as I share some of the interiors, you will see a little bit of both. Like here we have the drama, the drama starting. A lot of long O words in this book, which would be great for working on any phonics skills for your beginning readers. And of course, it's absolutely adorable. It's sweet and funny, but full of drama. It's an early reader, great for phonics instruction, and it's the second book in this popular series, and the third book will soon follow. And speaking of new series, we have a new series, the Ari and Cricket series. The first book is called The Box in the Woods. This is the series I personally would have devoured as a kid because it has a really strong science and math connection, and I love both science and math. It's written by well-known author Lisa Carbone, illustrated by Kate Herbert. Let me read the blurb, and you'll get a better sense of what's happening in this first book. Ari, the new kid from Texas, hasn't made any friends yet. While searching the creek near his home for crawdads, he encounters Cricket, a neighborhood girl who he's not sure is interesting or annoying. When they spot an unusual red flag on a post and dig underneath it, they discover a metal box. Inside rests a folded piece of paper with a question printed on it. Find out why Mr. Krishnaswamy's fish are dying. The two would-be detectives decide that's exactly what they'll do. Cricket, who has a gift for math, and Ari, who has a gift for science, combine their talents as they attempt to solve the mystery through a series of experiments. They land on a solution only to discover a surprise awaiting them in the buried metal box. Who left the surprise, and what mystery might they have to solve next? Let's take a peek inside so you'll get a sense of the appropriate age group. There are some illustrations. Not every spread has an illustration, but I wanted to share with you some of the pages with illustrations that sort of carry the story a bit, add a little bit of color and life to the book. It's the first in a chapter book series. The second book is coming out shortly, and books 3 and 4 will be shortly after that. We want to have a bunch of books in this series out as quickly as possible. It features a fun mystery and has a strong science and math connection. Like I said, I would have devoured this as a kid, and it's about friendship, ultimately. A friendship that you're not sure at the beginning, but it continues to develop throughout the series. The third book in our award-winning Weekend in Zay series is called Science Fair. It's written by Rakia Lowe, illustrated by Christian Paniagua. It's an early chapter book. When Zay convinces his best friend Weekend to sign up for the science fair with him, things begin to unravel when Weekend fails to do his share of the work. This is not unusual, by the way. An argument leads them to research the inventor of something important to both of them, the cell phone. Upon discovering the many significant contributions by Black scientists, the pair finally decide they will gather research on Jesse Russell, who invented some of the necessary wireless technology. And Weekend will create a rap using key facts about him. Rap is really important because Rakia Lowe does raps with children at schools all across the country, and so she's able to infuse some of that into this book. How will the judges react to their unique topic and presentation style? Will Zay be brave enough to perform a rap with Weekend in public? And will their rap win them the big prize? Let's take a peek inside. get a clear sense of the age group. It's the third book in this popular series, African-American main characters, strong science connection, and a great friendship story. Winston and I were talking about this series the other day. What we like about it, these are some of the most authentic characters in any of the books that we typically read. Like we would want to hang out with these two kids. They're just fun, real kids living their lives. Now, the third book in an award-winning series. The first book, Mi Tierra, won the Charlotte Huck Award. These are chapter books in verse by Adria Quinones, who you're going to meet in just a second, illustrated by Rinaldi Alvarez. The first book, Mi Tierra, was about love for place, love for home. The second book, The Other Side of Wall, was really about friendship, love for your friends, but also managing some challenges that might occur. And this last book, My Abuelo, is about intergenerational family relationships. Amaya Nunez always looks forward to her abuelo's visits. She loves when he cooks breakfast for dinner. She loves their walks through New York City, takes place in the Bronx. She loves listening to him share stories with old friends. When Abuelo dies on the eve of his visit, Amaya is overwhelmed by grief. How do you talk to someone who can't hear you? How do you say goodbye to someone when all you want is for them to stay? With the help of her family and community, Amaya learns how to look for light in dark times. I read this book last night again before this presentation day, and I had to sort of stop and collect myself partway through. It's just a stunning conclusion to this series. And you'll see the different vignettes. My abuelo. Abuelo takes walks por aquí, por allá, waiting for abuelo. The news arrives. The next morning, shiny shoes. These are just some of the chapters. Talking to the moon. At night, when it's very quiet, I stand at my window and look at the moon. I love you, abuelo. Te quiero, I say. Sometimes I think the moon shines brighter. Maybe if the moon can hear me, my abuelo can hear me too. Stunning book. I really want you to have an opportunity to spend some time with Winsome and Adriana. So I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to both of you.
Hi, and first I wanted it's Adria, not Adriana, Quinones. Hi, Adria, where are you? How are you?
I'm so sorry. I just wrote an agent, Adriana, right before this.
I know,
Sorry,
it's okay.
Adriana.
We know you love her.
I'll be in
Hi,
the Bronx
Adria.
tomorrow too. You can hit me in the Bronx. I'm there tomorrow.
Yeah. Although I do want to say the book takes place in Washington Heights.
Heights.
The Amaya Nunez books are in Washington Heights, and
Oh, I've been sharing it all over the Bronx.
and they should,
That's what,
right?
yeah.
We're right across the river,
Yeah.
but it is in Washington Heights.
Well, I'll turn it over to both of you.
Thank you. Adria, first of all, let me just say thank you, thank you, thank you for writing such a beautiful, powerful, powerful series. And I want you to tell me your inspiration behind writing this book.
You know, you said to me you should write a 3-book series.
I did.
And I all I thought was, yes, dear. And I never gave it another thought. And then, and I can't remember one of the other authors, I had the same experience where it was a Friday night. I was on my way to sleep and I had an idea. Mi tierra. And I thought, if I wait till the morning, this will be gone. So I'm in bed writing on my phone. And in the morning, I took that poem and sent it to you.
Mhm.
And you called me immediately. You said, is there more? And it was my son's birthday and it's Saturday and I've got things to do. And it was, I have to say, creating the essence of those 3 books were maybe the most wonderful experience of my life. It was 6 weeks of intense writing.
Writing, yeah.
And it was just once I latched on to the Amaya character, her whole life came to me. And it's so infused with my life in Washington Heights, which I love. I'm a lifetime New Yorker. And these are very rooted in community books.
I think you know what it was for me about this character. I taught schools for years. I've taught schools everywhere, Florida, Virginia, Illinois, Iowa, like all over because I'm a military person. This book was so relatable. And I normally, whenever I acquire a manuscript, my first question I ask myself is what's for the kid? This book is for the kids. Super, super, super kid centric. Amaya has agency. She has autonomy. She lives in New York. She loves her family. She loves her neighborhood. She loves flowers. She loves school and her teachers and her best friend. Did you have a best friend that you use as a guide to structure Amaya's best friend?
I did. And
Really?
Marianne Lunig, if you're out there, sending you love. I grew up in an attached house in Queens,
Hmm.
and my best friend, Marianne, her bedroom was on the other side of my sister and my bedroom, and we would knock through the wall. And that's why you see that in there, right? There was a
Hmm.
lot. This is not autobiography, but there's a lot that I've taken from my life or the lives of the people around me. I try to make it emotionally real, even if it's not an exact duplicate of the
Right.
event. But I think I was very lucky to have such a good friend right next door, and her parents loved me, and my parents loved her.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest theme of this book is friendship. What would you say to librarians? Because I'll say to librarians, you need to add this to your shelf. But why? Why do they need to add this book to their shelves, Adria?
I think it's a beautiful depiction of life in New York City that isn't all about, let's say, trucks or downtown. No, it's
Hmm.
about the communities that exist here. I think it's
Hmm.
about, she is very, very devoted to her best friend, who is very devoted to her, but also we get to see all of the loving people around her.
Hmm.
And what I really, what's important to me in the book is that wider circle of love.
Yes, yes. So that was my last question for you to talk about. We met the whole family. We met mom, we met the Theos, but why this book focused so much on the relationship between her abuela and Amaya and her abuela? Why?
I had an abuelo. My
Mm,
abuelo loved me and was such an important part of my life growing
yeah,
up. And, very much like Amaya, I waited for his visits.
yeah.
And my life, all of my childhood memories, I was a picky kid and I was peculiar. And he just let me be. He let me be.
Mm,
And that is such, we're so lucky if we either have love or we can see that love reflected. And I wanted to reflect love in this
okay.
book.
So let me just thank you for writing this book. Librarians, this is a beautiful series. You think of Bengali, you think of Jasmine Taguchi, you think of Clementine. You have to add Amaya Nunez to your shelf. This book theme, love, community, friendship, family, and it is so modern. It is so today. It is so New York. It is just so much everything we need in this world. Thank you so, so much for writing it, Adria. It was a joy reading it over and over again.
Thank you,
Back to you,
Winslow.
Wiley.
Thank you, Winsome and Adria. So I'm going to turn it back to Sunita to talk about the third book in the very popular Carlos Gomez series.
Hi. So, I don't know if you know the first two books of this Junior Library Guild award-winning series, but Carlos Gomez is a character created by Chuck Gonzalez, one of my favorite authors in the whole world, a wonderful human being. And this is the third book in the series. So let me just read you the little. Carlos Gomez is back. On a summer trip with his family, Carlos makes a new friend and a new discovery. Will Carlos have the courage to share what he's learned with his parents? And will the Gomez family, including Pity, survive camping and traveling in close quarters? So this is a coming of age road trip book in which, Carlos discovers that he is gay and has a crush on a boy. It is as with all three of these books, absolutely hilarious. It's hilariously written. It's hilariously illustrated. Chuck does all of it himself. And the little touches are just amazing. And the whole road trip thing, it's based upon Chuck's own experiences with his family growing up. He's changed the names, but I think a lot of the actual events are real. And he just, he's great at mining childhood for the emotion and the hilarity. So yeah, Wiley's showing you some spreads from the book. They take an RV and they go camping, and all sorts of things ensue.
Well, what I love about all the books in this series is even when things get a little rough, the love in this family holds them together in a really powerful way. You
Yeah.
feel it.
Yeah, they're all flawed. The parents, the dad in particular, and in this book, the dad really struggles. But Chuck writes and draws them with such empathy that even when things go wrong, you can really feel the love in that family. You can really feel the family strength.
Thanks, Anita.
Bye, everyone.
And finally, we have a must-have holiday picture book called Letters to Santa by Kathy Brysacker, illustrated by Hannah Batterman. The North Pole is always a busy place, but Santa's favorite time of year, of course, is December, when the elves begin delivering children's letters. From South Africa to Switzerland, Japan to Brazil, children write down their wishes and dreams for Christmas. Take a journey around the world with whimsical rhymes and colorful illustrations that showcase the joy of the holiday season. So the North Pole is a busy place from dawn to dusk each day. Toys are made and reindeer trained. There's not much time to play. Santa loves the action, but his favorite thing to do is read the mail delivered by the postal office crew. And then each spread shares a letter from a child around the world, really thanking Santa for the wonderful things that he does and the gifts that he brings them and so on. At the very end of the book, I love this. I love this scene with all the children together. But at the very end of the book, the children learn how to say thank you in the languages of all the children who are represented in the book, which is a nice little touch to it. So it's a must-have holiday book, multicultural with strong language connections, and it's great for letter writing lessons in schools because this is the time and everyone is doing it. So those are new books for our fall list, but I have two extra things to share with you. In addition to our Raycraft Books fall list, we are launching a new line of books called Raycraft Schoolhouse, which have all of the beautiful photos and design and everything that you're used to with Raycraft, but are so intensely targeted to grade level science, social studies, and literature standards. And I just want to share with you some of the books that will be coming to you soon. Obviously, you see some books here around science standards, Earth, Weather, and Space. These are books that can be used in any classroom and any curriculum. They are so targeted and dead on with those specific standards. You see some more around science and literature standards. I particularly love the book, The Story of Words, a look at writing throughout history from cave paintings to modern times. Just fascinating how writing evolved. I think children will be fascinated by this book as well. Literature standards, reading variations of the same tale, reading lots of tales like the Anansi and the Magic Pot. A lot of Anansi stories are very popular. This one is particularly beautiful. And social studies. Who doesn't need a welcome to kindergarten book setting the year up? Our community rules is a really special book because not only is it sort of straightforward about community rules, but every other spread has this amazing sort of Where's Waldo picture where the children are interacting in a really exciting way. In addition to the Raycraft Schoolhouse, in January, we are launching our Raycraft Books and Raycraft Schoolhouse Books Spanish editions. We are launching next year around 70 titles. Some are original titles from award-winning Spanish-speaking authors, and others are translations of our most popular Raycraft books. We've been getting a lot of requests for Spanish titles, and we are making them available for everyone who wants them and needs them. So I want to thank you for joining us today and taking this preview. I hope that you'll check out some of our books. You can go to raycraftbooks.com. Of course, we have a YouTube channel with author interviews, a lot of different assets and materials that you can take a look at. I'm going to turn it back over to the Booklist team to finish us out.
Thank you so much to the Raycraft Books team and to our special guests, Adria, JC, and Laura. Tomorrow, all attendees will receive an email containing links to today's video recording, slide presentation, title list, and a certificate of completion. For more about Booklist webinars, be sure to visit www.booklistonline.com/webinars, where you can view archives of past webinars and register for upcoming ones like those you see here. You can also find out about the latest webinars on our social channels. 150 years of empowering library professionals, advancing access to knowledge, and protecting the freedom to read. Since 1876, the American Library Association has embodied America's aspiration for knowledge and democracy, championing the professionals who make that promise real every day. Scan the QR code on the screen or visit ala150.org to see how you can join us in helping to shape the next 150 years of libraries. Thank you again for joining us for today's webinar. A huge thank you again to our special guests, Adria, JC, and Laura, and to our presenters and sponsor, Raycraft Books. This concludes today's webinar. See you next time.